2004 gave the company a market cap of 23 billion euros, but enough to make instant millionaires out of 1,000 employees. Not bad for a company whose first office was in a garage. 10 years after its IPO, Google has 52,000 employees, 20 times its workforce a decade ago, and its projected revenue for this year tops $67 billion. Well, Delano Souza looks at what's next for the company.
A search engine which over the course of a decade has become so much more. 10 years after its listing on Wall Street, Google continues to reshape its business. The company has become a leader in email, maps, video sharing, and mobile computing. Through its Android software, Google has stepped up its fight for dominance in wearable technology with its rival Apple. The company has already announced plans to computerize watches and glasses.
We're right at the beginning in a new phase in the miniaturization of technology, which means that it's finally possible to make a powerful computer small enough to wear comfortably on your body all day long. And there's a huge opportunity to bring rich user experiences to these devices.
Since its listing, Google's market value has risen to nearly $400 billion, and it's because of its deep pockets the company has managed to revolutionize technology. Google plans to roll out a driverless car by 2020, and in June this year it announced it would place its Android software in vehicles, taking its fight with Apple to another field.
And over 25 car brands have signed up to ship Android Auto in the near future. What's more, the first cars with Android Auto will be rolling off dealer lots before the end of this year.
In January, the company acquired smoke detector Nest Labs for $3 billion, a move which will likely see Google physically expanding its footprint from people's everyday lives into their homes.
Well, let's take a look now at Wall Street. Tensions were eased over the Ukrainian crisis, boosting trading today, as did positive economic data out of the U.S. The Nasdaq earlier hit a 14-year high. The U.S. cost of living appears to be flat, even as the economy is improving, and home construction rose nearly 16% in July. That led to big gains for Home Depot. The do-it-yourself retailer reported earnings that beat expectations and hiked its outlook. Let's take a brief look now at some other company news. BHP Billiton unveiled its long-awaited restructuring plan. It will create a more than 10 billion euro mining and metals company. The world's biggest mining firm also saw a 23% increase in annual profits to 10 billion euros, but that was still just shy of analysts' expectations. And it's official, New York's banking regulator has fined Standard Chartered $300 million to settle claims it failed to identify suspicious transactions. This follows a previous fine paid by the bank in 2012 for violating sanctions with Iran and other countries. Standard Chartered was accused of not improving its procedures since then. Well, earlier I mentioned investors, at least for the moment, are shaking off some worries over Ukraine, but the crisis has taken a hit on the Russian economy, already hurting from Western sanctions. Now it seems Russia is suffering from its own ban against Western food. In St. Petersburg, food has increased some 10% according to the city's economic policy chief, and that inflation was even before the impact of the sanctions. The hike is even more dramatic for staples like pork and chicken broth, which both have risen well over 20%. Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev said Monday that he did not expect the ban to increase food prices, but that he also hoped it wouldn't last more than a year. Well, Russia has also had to try to prepare for life without credit cards like Visa and MasterCard. Russian banks were scrambling to find a means to accept a payment system to fill that vacuum. Earlier in the year, Russian President Vladimir Putin suggested the country would develop its own system, but those plans never seemed to get off the ground. But the country now seems to have found an alternative, China UnionPay. Some banks are saying the Chinese payment system is the only alternative, but that it's going to take time to get it up to steam.
Thanks very much for that look at what's making business news with Hildebrand. Right, it's time now for the top sport